I had an amazing childhood, I have to say. Very wanted child. It was only me, I'm an only child. Very close to my parents. We got on very well, obviously. We did a lot of family things together. I could tell my parents most things were all very close, we all got on very, very well. Quite strict, but, you know, I was a good kid, and then I became a teenager.
She went through a lot of changes. She became an adolescent and had to change secondary schools, had to make new friends, and I think she found that very hard. The hormonal changes and the total change in her life at 12, and she became very difficult.
They were so strict with me. I wasn't allowed to breathe, you know, for little things, like if I wanted to go to a disco with some friends, I'd have to obviously ask them first. And my father would say to me, well, you know, what time train are you getting? Say I was getting the 10:30 train back, the last train back. He would say, well, go to your room and I'll think about it. If I wanted an answer there and then, and I pushed him, then he'd say, well, the answer's no until I'm ready to give you an answer. So he'd make things extremely awkward for me. And then if I argued, he'd say, well, you know, you can go, but you have to come back on the train earlier than everybody else. So I'd go and come back with everybody else and then be grounded for a week.
At 16, she was wanting, or 15, she was wanting to go, well, she did actually catch trains to Manchester and try and get in clubs there and things like that. And you know, we saw how dangerous some of the situations she got herself in, but she didn't see it. I remember once getting a phone call. We just said goodbye to friends that had been here for a meal, gone 12 o'clock. And I got this phone call. She was stuck at Victoria Station in Manchester, and she was about 15 or 16 with a friend, you know. And you think, oh, goodness me, you know. So I had to set off and go and collect them, and feeling very angry and getting about 5 minutes away from the station thinking, I hope you're still there, not knowing.
And they're not being particularly grateful when you did pick her up.
Well, absolutely not. Our sexual relationship was very normal and we enjoyed each other's company. And it was expected that you get married before you have sex. Or it was sort of said, but it was in the 60s. It was the first sort of wave of people
expressing themselves.
Yes, being sex before marriage being acceptable. The pill had been developed, and you know, it opened a lot of
You've got to be careful what you say.
Yeah. Yes, an attitude change. An attitude change had started. It was always a worry in those days, becoming pregnant before you got married. And I suppose being married, that released all that worry.
You have to go into the room with a customer and pretend you like them, pretend you're having a good time, and that they're really making you happy. And well, it's not like that. You know, you're an actress. None of it's real, but these men somehow think it's real. Well, maybe I don't know. They kid themselves that it's real and that you really like them, you know. But it's not like that.
How do you feel when you're having sex with a paying customer?
I just look at the clock above me. How much longer are we out? You know. Think, well, I'm cooking for tea tonight. Think, you know, lie down and think of England. Just general mundane things. I'm not thinking about, oh God, this is really good. I'm really enjoying this, or nothing like that. I'm thinking about, God, how much longer are you going to be? You know. That's the reality of it. Not for everyone, but it is for me.
The things I'm supposed to do basically is to help her with living independently, helping her with things like washing, because she's a bit weak at the moment. She was weak when she came from hospital, but now she's she seems to be coming up. So I help her with assisting her to wash and the general things that everybody does when you wake up. I mean, day-to-day life, cooking, you know, she eats by herself and stuff like that.
Do you feel like you've lost your dignity, or do you feel okay with it?
I feel awful.
Do you?
Yeah. You've no idea.
I care for her with a passion. That's all I can say, I think.
So when you have to do physical caring for her, you find that easy. Why do you find that? Because you don't know her well like your mother, but you...
But we were trained. So
but some people can't do it as well as others.
No, because they don't walk in love. They don't want to do it. I suppose those who can't do it, they do it just because they want to earn at the end of the day. But whereas when you're doing care, you must not only do care because you want money. Of course, it's nice to earn. You can't do it for free. But you must do it with a passion, properly, you know, because those people are hurting through challenges that they're faced up with, you know.
Well, I've known Sophie for 5 years now. It'll be 6 years in January. Emotionally, she is my very best friend. She knows everything there is to know about me. There's nothing I don't talk about with her, and vice versa, as far as I know. Like she jokingly says like we're soulmates and stuff like that, and I don't really believe in stuff like that, but there is like an immense sense of kinship there. She's like, my mum considers her to be like an offshoot of our family, and her family with me, you know, we are really, really close.
Jack's my rock. He is the person I go to with everything. He's the person at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm crying, I phone and lean on.
We've got a lot in common, and it's mainly our sense of humour. It's based on insulting each other, basically. It's pretty crude. It's pretty horrible, and like from an outsider looking in, they must think that we're like worst enemies just because the things we say to each other are just awful. But to us, it's run of the mill. It's what we do to each other. We beat each other down because we know we can both take it. It's entirely sense of humour based.
That's my favourite side of our friendship. That's me and Jack being abusive to each other. Everyone knows that's me and Jack. And I've seen friends try and be like that with their friends, and it doesn't work as well. It's just something. He's like, "Are you okay? You slag." And like, I don't ever take it offensively because I know it's just a joke. We're horrible to each other, but we love each other. We don't need to tell each other we love each other all the time.
With the insulting of each other, I think it's based on very, very dry sarcasm and humour, because a lot of the things I say to her don't apply to her at all. Like I'll insult her for her appearance and things, and none of them apply to her. And like with her insulting me because I'm gay and stuff, it's because I don't pander to the gay stereotypes, if you like, and a lot of her insults are based around that. So it is being ironic.
We hug a lot. You know, the other week we were straddled over each other, giving each other a big hug, and anyone walking by probably would have thought we were in a relationship. And we hold hands and we kiss each other on the cheek, and it is like having a boyfriend, but without the whole drama of having a boyfriend. It's great.
I've been working for this particular firm now for 5 or 6 years, and I used to work over in the Wigan area, and I came for an interview here, and I was interviewed by the senior partner, and that interview went well, and then the senior partner wanted me to be interviewed by some of his senior staff at the time, one of which was Adele. So Adele actually interviewed me for the job, and so that's how we first met.
Yes. I didn't like him.
You say you didn't like him. What didn't you like about him?
Because he just first impressions. I just thought, no, I'm not going to like him. It's just
too much gel.
too much gel in his own typical traditional look of a solicitor with the stripy suit, which didn't quite sit with our environment at the time, because the partner who was in charge of the office was quite laid back and informal. So we had Mr. City Solicitor coming in as we thought. But we were similar age, well, same age, aren't we? Going through similar things in life at the time. The job's stressful, and we were just a good support for each other work-wise initially. It was just that it's you know, you when you do have that support in the office, it does make life a lot easier, doesn't it? Because the job does carry a lot of pressure. So if you've got somebody to bounce ideas off, etc. So it was purely that relationship at the beginning, wasn't it? I think at the time, because it was a very small office and I was very conscious of the other staff around, you want people to feel comfortable. And I think it was probably, it didn't take long, it was probably within a few minutes. He was very popular very quickly with the ladies in the office, shall we say, which kind of made me think, okay, I'll leave it to them. But as I say, it was more the support and being a similar age, and the job is stressful, and getting that support, it just kind of grew as a friendship, didn't it? Which was good. I think it was more difficult for me, wasn't it? Because Connell was fairly new to the practice, where I'd worked with the girls for a long time, the other solicitors, and was very conscious of not wanting them to feel uncomfortable as well, also trying to have a relationship. At the early stages, we didn't know what would happen. So yeah, you like each other, you know that much, you like to spend time together, but you've got to be professional as well and think, well, what happens if this doesn't work out? You know, where's that going to leave you with your colleagues and your work relationships? So you know, it did have to be given careful thought, so we kept it quiet for a long time, as long as we could. People kind of suspected, didn't they? But we didn't want to jeopardise each other's positions within the practice at all.
Even if I'm talking to them on the video, I can't say like how much I love him and all. So in a letter, we just talk normally, like what's going on in their life, what's going on in my life. I can't be like I can't tell him how much I care about him and how much I miss him. So at times I would probably prefer to write an email saying all that, because it avoids the normal conversation. It's just like what I feel about him and how much I miss him. So
both of the babies had a lip tie and struggled to breastfeed. All these things just compounded like my feelings of stress and difficulty, and that acted as like a barrier for bonding with the babies. What I felt was very sad that I wasn't able to do the things for them that needed to be done. I couldn't take the oldest to school, couldn't take the younger one to preschool, couldn't pick them up, couldn't even really get out of bed, couldn't really sleep. I used to feel really angry with my husband because he could have a shower in the morning and I'd be sitting there thinking, you always have a shower, you know, it's not fair, I can't even wash my hair or, you know, go to the toilet, you can't do anything, you're just trapped. Those bits of time were very stressful. There are things that, because they were so stressful, I don't even really remember. I remember quite often feeling just absolutely desperate when my husband walked out of the door in the morning to go to work, and then the day being a cloud of feeling like the walls were coming in. Are you coming to Mama? Have a cuddle? Ah, look, this Twinnie's won. Have you won? Have you come for your bottom? Get it all clean. Have you got a clean nappy? Have you got a poo or a wee? Wee-wee. A wee-wee. No poo. Let's see. Is there a poo? No poo. There is a poo. There's a poo. Gradually, as the responsibility for caring for the babies has got less when they started eating food themselves and sleeping through the night. Things have enabled me to become more independent. Now I can just be back to how I was before I had the babies and do everything for everybody like I normally do.